Hello there. I've been a little busy since the last episode, but as you can see, I have recently transported some villagers over into the main spawn area of my world in order to set up an iron farm. Now, if we fly down over here, we can take a look at this ugly monstrosity. Yes, it's remarkably ugly, but I will fix that. Don't worry. But let me show you what we've got here. So if I fly around, as you can hear, on the inside of this place, I have a zombie, Mr. Motivator, and he is having a nice conversation with these three villagers who are gainfully employed. They're not trapped. They were willingly brought here, not against their will. But yeah, they just hang out. They chat with Mr. Motivator, and when they get lonely, they spawn an iron golem above them in the place that I've constructed above that. Let's see if we can get up there really quick. So here we go. Here is the place where the iron golems spawn in, and we've got some water streams that push them over these nice warm campfire things, and yeah, it just gently toasts the iron golem until it decides to drop its iron, along with even some poppies as well. But we can pop in here, and as you can see, it's already starting to be productive for me. But yes, this saves so much time when it comes to mining out iron. This runs in the background for me. I don't have to worry about collecting it by hand and smelting it. And that also means that when I do go and mine iron, I can just keep it in its raw form and use it as a decorative block. I don't actually have to do anything with it. Now, one thing I will mention is that depending on the version of the game you are playing, the iron farm that I've just built for myself here may or may not work for you if you want to recreate it in your world. If you are playing the Java edition of the game on a PC, then it's going to work just fine because iron golem farms are ridiculously simple to put together on Java. If, however, you are playing on Bedrock edition, yeah, I have no idea how the iron farms work on there. They're a lot more complicated. But we are not done for today. No, we are just getting started. One of the other things I need to do is make this thing slightly less ugly. That's very important to me. I also want to take advantage of some of these pillars that are shooting up out of the hole here and build the farm sort of into those pillars, make it feel like it's actually connected to the landscape and not just a weird floating box of iron death. And after all of that, of course, as you can see in my hand here, I have very few firework rockets left. So the other thing I want to do in today's episode is set up a sugarcane farm so that I can create paper, and set up a mob farm so that I can collect gunpowder. Because those are the two ingredients, of course, for firework rockets, and that means I can fly everywhere in style. But we're going to start first by fixing up this farm, making it look adequate. I'm going to see if I can clean up the rail system I built all the way across the sky here. And then, yeah, I'll show you the finished product once this thing is looking a little bit more presentable. Also, I need to sleep. It's getting dark. Okay, so we are all done with the decorations and all the path and everything leading up to the iron farm. I'll show you guys what we've got. So across here, we now have a bridge leading over to the iron farm thing. It's still a little ugly, but you know, this is an ancient, worn down structure in the heart of the jungle. It's not meant to be nice and pretty and modern and sleek, right? We come in here, open the door. You can see I've added a little compost setup so that I can take all of the poppies from here, throw them in there, and get some free bone meal. But yeah, we've already got a decent amount of iron that's come in the time that we've been here, and I've used some of it to make some of these things around here. And you can see that I've added a pillar to connect up the bottom of the farm from that stone pillar there, and I've added some leaves and foliage across the side of it there. Added some lanterns hanging down. I think that looks pretty cool. And over time, of course, that copper is going to age. It's going to age very slowly, but it's going to age. And so it'll go from that orange color to more of like a greenish blue color, and that's going to be a lot nicer. I think there's even some on the backside there that's starting to turn. So yeah, the longer the farm runs and the longer this thing sits here, the more it's going to get to that final color that I'm looking for. But I'm not going to wait that long to save it for the video. Now, the next thing that we need to do, of course, is set up the mob farm that I had mentioned earlier, and that's primarily so we can get a bit of gunpowder. And I've been putting a bit of thought into where exactly I want to put this, and I'm wondering if I want to put it right here in this giant hole in the ground. Ideally, with something like a mob farm, you want to put it over like an ocean or something where it limits the amount of spawns in the area. But I want to build all this stuff sort of close to home. I don't necessarily want to hide it all away far off over an ocean. So I think I'm going to put the mob farm in here. It is deep enough that it gives me plenty of room to work with here. I will need to do a little bit of spawn proofing the sides. Make sure that they can only spawn in the actual farm itself and not all over the edges here. Definitely have to take care of a few creepers, but that gives me some more gunpowder. No. Oh, that was a close one. I'm gonna get to work on setting up the collection system at the bottom here, and I'll show you a bit of the process of the actual the way that the farm works. It's not a new design, it's pretty old, but tried and true. Okay, so status update. I have now got the collection system in place. Very simple, just a big empty space with some water that pushes them all towards the middle. Same thing that I did in the iron farm, just some soul campfires and gates above to keep the water from flowing in. And now I have to build the rest of this thing all through this hole. The trouble, of course, is that just the way that I've aligned it, I am going to have to do a bit of digging out the side of the wall here, but thankfully the middle is still clear. So yeah, I'm I'm gonna get to work on doing some digging and setting up the farm, and I'll let you guys skip all the boring bits. Hello, next progress update, and we are almost done the mob farm here. So as you can see, I've got all the layers built out. We've got a fully encased room here that's almost perfectly dark, but safety torches, saving the day, because I don't want to die quite yet. What we have on each level here is a dropper with a water bucket. And by dropper, I mean dispenser. So dispenser with a water bucket. And above that, if I can come up here, we have an observer. And that activates the dropper below whenever it sees a change in the block above. So just as a demonstration here, I'm gonna change the scaffolding there. And then what that does is it triggers the dispenser below. It dispenses the water bucket. And as you can see, we've got 7 blocks out from the center, and that's just enough to push the water to the edge. And what that will do is whenever a mob spawns on here, the water is going to periodically spread out across the platform, push them off into the streams below and into the fiery pits of death at the bottom there. So if I put that back, that should now, yep, removes the water. And you'll also notice it removes the torch that I had placed there. So once we get all of this starting, I've got one torch on every level, and that's going to wash them all away, set the farm so that it's fully dark, and then we'll be able to start collecting resources from everything that spawns here. I'm going to just close that up with a little bit of tinted glass so we can still see in, although it's going to be completely pitch black in there once this is up and running anyway, so I don't know that I'll see too much. Excuse the mess down here. But yeah, there's that torch. I'll take that back. All right, so let's go up to the surface now. I'm going to show you how we're going to get the farm started and how that's going to work in terms of the automation of those water streams so that they're turning on and off again as the farm is running. All right, so floating down here, we're at the top of our machine, and this is the observer that's going to start it all for us. So the next step then we've got here is to set up a redstone clock. And to do that, I am going to use the Etho Hopper Clock, which was created by fellow Canadian YouTuber Etho. It's been around for probably a decade, but it still gets the job done. And I'll show you how to make it here. Here's essentially what you're going to need in terms of the resources. We're going to start with 2 pistons, and they will be placed, well, with a block of redstone. One's going to be like that, and the other is going to be like that, 1 block apart. Next, we are going to need 2 hoppers facing into each other, just like so. Next step is we put 2 comparators that I think I've got. Yeah, got that right. Okay. Give me my pistons back. Yeah, 2 comparators on the edges there. Next, just some blocks to carry the signal through. And finally, a little redstone to connect it up with the piston there. And that ought to work. Now, the cool thing with this is, so these hoppers normally, if there wasn't that block of redstone there, they'd normally be feeding back and forth into each other at the same time. But because we've got the redstone block there, that powers this one and locks it so that it can't send anything out. It can only take things in that are being pushed from the other one. So if I place, let's say, 32 blocks into this one here, that activates this piston because the comparator can tell there's stuff in there. And then when the signal gets stronger, it should reverse positions, or when that one's empty, it reverses up. That did not. Why did that not work? There we go. That ought to be working now, but I think I know what the problem is. Need to be sticky pistons, not regular pistons. So that should now be working for us here. Just give it a moment to go back and forth just to make sure. There we go. Okay. And to get this going, I'm going to have 2 other components here. First, I'm going to put a wall here, and that's going to activate everything in the farm right now. And when this comes back, it should... Yeah, the wall connects with the redstone, and the observer can detect that change, and that's enough to trigger everything. You'll hear the water has stopped. We wait, and there goes the water again. So the farm is now working underneath us, and all I need to do is be close enough that mobs can spawn, but not too close, because they won't spawn like super duper close to you. Okay, we are back down at the collection area, and we've got our first bit of gunpowder coming in from the farm. Not much else, but this is free gunpowder that I did not have to kill any creepers for by hand, so I count that as a win. And this is just going to continue to run and produce and produce and produce without me having to lift a finger, because I am lazy. No, I'm just efficient, right? That's how that works. Maybe a little lazy. But of course, gunpowder is only one half of the equation when it comes to firework rockets. And so now we are going to start on the third and final farm for this episode. And that is going to be a basic, simple, easy sugarcane farm. Again, fully automatic so that I do not have to lift any of my lazy fingers. Now, when it comes to building a farm, one of the most important things, of course, is choosing a location. Not in terms of how efficient or effective it's going to be, but how it fits aesthetically with the area around it. Yeah, that's how I tend to approach redstone builds. It has to work, that's important, but it doesn't have to be the most 100% optimized, super hyper effective, crazy machine of doom thing ever. It just has to be good enough. So, yeah, we're gonna do that right here over the water behind me, nestled in sort of near our pumpkin and melon farm from the previous episode, spawn tower, iron farm over there, and the mob farm up in the hills, and their little hobbit hole ditch just over there. So, let's start, of course, with the collection system. And for this one, I am going to make use of some hopper minecarts this time. So I'm going to get started to build up the general framework of the farm, and then I'll show you guys how everything's going to work once there's something to show you. Okay, collection system is in place now. I'll show you what we've got here. Underneath, we've got a minecart on either side with a hopper. And whenever the farm activates, I'm going to have it connected through a little bit of redstone here. That's going to power the powered rails below, send it off around, and it's going to collect anything that's sitting here in the collection area. Collection area is not quite ready yet because, of course, I need to add water around the edges where the sugarcane is going to be so that it will grow because it likes water. I'm also going to change all of these from dirt into mud because I like the color of the mud better. Ladies and gentlemen, our sugarcane farm is now complete and fully armed and operational. Now, is it ugly? Yes. Is it horrifically over-engineered and probably a little bit more complicated than it needs to be? Absolutely. But am I proud of it because it is my very own creation that I've done all by myself? You'd better believe it. So what we have here, of course, the observers, every time they detect anything in front of them, they spit out the redstone signal that carries across to all of the pistons, and just like this, boom. And as you can hear, the minecarts are going along underneath collecting anything that happens to be collected. Just like that, and I should get those torches back. There we go, and of course now you can see we've got more sugarcane already out of this than we put into it, so I count that profit as very excellent success. Now, of course, I do need to cover this thing up and decorate it slightly to make it a little bit less ugly. However, I have no time for that today because, as I mentioned in my last episode, I am moving in real life. I've got my own quote-unquote chest monster of boxes and bins and containers and packing paper and all of that sort of stuff. My apartment is a complete disaster right now, so I need to focus on being a responsible adult and packing up all that stuff before my move very soon. In between those packing sessions, though, I'll see what sorts of breaks I can find to clean this thing up a little bit, make it a little bit nicer. That goes for the other farms as well that I've done today. But yeah, no, this has been very much a progress-filled episode. That's the word I'm looking for. Because now we have a fully automatic sugarcane farm, an iron farm filled with locally sourced iron golems, and our mob farm, which will provide me with all of the gunpowder I need to replace the rockets that I have now run out of. So yes, Lots of progress this episode. I am very happy, as you can tell probably by the sound of my voice. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope that it encourages you to try some farms in your own world if you've never done that before. It's so satisfying having everything happen without having to lift a single finger. So, highly recommended. And if you enjoyed the episode, please be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I know a lot of you watching are not actually subscribed. So, if you've made it this far, you probably want to see the other videos I've got coming, just potentially. So, yeah, and if you are subscribed, maybe tell a friend. That'd be great. But I shall see all of you guys. Well, not I won't see you. I don't get to see you from here as a person behind the camera. But you shall see me probably in a few weeks after my move, once I've got settled into the new apartment that has a laundry machine and dishwasher, which makes more time for videos. So, yes, I shall see you guys soon. Enjoy the rest of your days. Goodbye. Fare thee well. Sayonara. Oh, speaking of Sayonara, I don't know if you've seen, but Minecraft, they've released some information about some of the changes that are coming in the next major update to the game. They're introducing cherry blossom trees, they're introducing the sniffer, they're introducing archaeology amongst a whole bunch of other things. So yeah, I am very excited for that next update in the game. I hope you are as well. I might try to put together a sort of tips and tricks video of building thingamajigers you can do with all the new stuff in the update. Let me know in the comments if that would be interesting for you, because I think it would be a lot of fun to put together something a little bit different than the usual survival episodes. But anyways, yes, that's it for me. I will stop rambling. Goodbye. Go eat a snack or something. See ya.